Hello and welcome to the LHC. But we don't have...
Where we're trying not to mention Jake Peralta.
Yeah, because we spent last episode mostly talking about Jake Peralta and other things. But
also, we're not meant to mention Friends or Scrubs or any other sitcoms.
Or video games as well.
Do you know what? You and I trying to stay on topic is possibly the most difficult mission we've ever had in our lives.
Is it more difficult than the mission to become the youngest captain in the New York Police Department, which is the major focus of Amy Santiago? The character played by Melissa Fumero. I don't know if Holt wanted to be the youngest. He just wanted to continue as...
he was the first openly gay captain, which I think was more important than young. Actually, I don't know if he was the first openly gay or the first openly gay black captain.
Possibly. I'm pretty sure I would have heard if there was an openly gay black captain. No, probably not in the New York video. It's not like we hear everything. But yeah. But Amy Santiago does say, she wants to be like the youngest captain. So Amy's sort of whole thing is that she's like super organized and fussy and everything and is a people pleaser. Is the one thing they miss out, is that she really wants to, like, a lot of her early stuff is wanting to be mentored by Captain Raymond Holt when he arrives. And there's a fantastic bit where it looks like they're all going to be sent to different places or something, or basically the 9-9 was going to be shut down or something. Yeah. And so there's this big episode where they're all coming to terms with that, and he goes, "Oh no, I've been mentoring you for ages secretly," and he has like a giant binder.
Yeah, it's like, if I'm not going to be here for the next few years, then we're going to miss out on this entire binder.
And there's a lot of interesting, like Amy's whole thing. They have like a lot of random stuff that she just says, like she has binders for things, and she's a notary.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, it's just sort of interesting. I guess like one of her major things is she gets like really enthused about stuff that she likes. Quite a lot. I mean, I know everyone does, but it does seem like hers is the one that always seems to get in the way in a kind of like, it's her enthusiasm that gets in the way.
The thing is, I think the thing about this show is everybody's really passionate about their hobbies.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like, whenever they talk about food, and Charles is like, "I know everything about food." Mm-hmm. Or they talk about yogurt and working out, and, Terry's like, "Terry knows about these things."
But I think Terry has like some other stuff that he's...
Or parenting, actually.
Yeah, he talks about his children a lot.
Yeah, parenting so.
And... we're always like leading from what we take away, which is, of course, like a biased viewpoint, but yeah.
To
me, I do think Terry does talk about like his home life quite a lot.
Yeah, no, Terry, it's about being a good husband and father, as well as yoga and working out. But
that's because he's played by Terry Crews.
Yes, that's true. And you can't not without, getting Terry Crews to be your actor. No, the thing there, though, is that, like, also Jake, he's I'm so passionate about Die Hard and The Karate Kid and things like that.
Well, no, yeah, but that's like a different thing. Like, I find it interesting that we have Amy's like thing is her focus on getting somewhere. That's what motivates her. But like Jake's obsession with movies and stuff and being that it's like you can tell because those are the stuff that was popular when he was a kid, and it's very obvious from the start that Jake comes from like this home where he was kind of starved for attention, and in particular attention from his father. And so I always think that like his whole thing of being a cop and being a really good cop and being not just a really good cop, but being a really good cop who gets to do a load of these action movie Die Hardy type things. Yeah. It's like him way of gaining that kind of masculine attention that he really like thirsts for, that he didn't get from his father, who just like sometimes just doesn't seem to care about him. Especially early on. In the early one it was all like, his father like just wanted a favour or something. It was only later on that he actually made peace with him.
I think, though, I would say that everyone else gets their own, this is my interest and I'm super into it.
Apart from
Amy gets hers.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I think everyone gets it, apart from Diaz, where the whole joke is that the whole joke is that Diaz does have the thing she's super into and is really passionate about, but refuses to tell anyone.
Yeah, no one notices about. No one knows what it is.
Yeah, but that's part of the joke there. But everybody else is like, this is my thing, I'm super passionate. The only difference is, I think Amy's written slightly differently because everything Amy is super passionate about is apparently work-related.
Yes,
or at least she then puts into her work. And I think, you do have the thing of everybody else gets really happy when it's a thing that's about their work that then relates to their hobby. Oh my god, this is like Die Hard, or oh my god, this is like a food thing. That's, they're really passionate about. But she's like, oh my god, I can make everything in my work about my hobbies, or I can make binders at all times and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I do think her one's a bit different, but I think that's because she's
a workaholic.
She is the one about the whole. Yeah, she's a workaholic, and her focus is always progression. Whereas, if Peralta never got a promotion and just stayed a detective, I think he's achieved his goal.
Yeah.
He's become a detective. He doesn't seem interested in running a department. He doesn't, because he actually probably wouldn't like not being able to do cases anymore. He doesn't mind being on task forces, but
that's what he wants to do. That's when he gets motivated. Is to be in a task force to do cool stuff.
Exactly, but he doesn't really want to do anything different.
So
whereas I think Amy wants to get a promotion.
Yeah.
And I think same with Charles. Charles is more than happy to stay where he is, and while Terry wants to get a promotion, everybody's kind of settled. She's the only one who's looking to move. I think within the show.
I mean, maybe Terry would, because if it was related into making things better for his family. So yeah, I can believe that.
But I think Terry's not trying to change his role. Terry's trying to change his rank and his pay. And I think most of them could be said like that. Like Jake would like to be on task forces and things like that, but he still wants to be a detective. Whereas Amy doesn't want to do what she's doing now. Everybody else is happy what they're doing now. Amy wants to do Holt's job, or push like Terry's job in the interim.
Yeah. Well, no, and she eventually does, because eventually she becomes the sergeant for the uniformed officers for a particular thing. So she passes her sergeant's exam.
Exactly, yeah.
Boyle is interesting. So Boyle's whole thing is he's got a load of kind of disgusting interests / family as well. And I kind of like it in that he's a character that gets relentlessly made fun of, and I don't feel that sorry for him when he's made fun of. It's really hard for me to go, oh, poor Boyle, he never seems to get a break. Apart from he's... And at the same time, I don't feel critical of Boyle. I don't go, you deserve it, Boyle. Part of me does occasionally go, oh. But it's hard for me to sort of, get any indignance about how occasionally nastily he's treated. I mean, an episode... Can I tell you, just literally just one line from the episode that you haven't seen from this week?
Yeah, sure.
Is they mentioned something about very vague about moving to Switzerland, and Boyle goes, "Move to Switzerland," and Holt goes, "Yes, uproot your life, go over there. No one here would miss you."
But no, I know I promised I wasn't going to, or I didn't promise, but I said I'd try not to. But I am going to mention a different show for a second
go on.
here.
Yeah.
But it isn't one that we've mentioned before, which is The Big Bang Theory.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of problems with The Big Bang Theory.
It's the most watched TV show still in America.
Yeah, there were a lot of problems with it, and we could probably talk a whole episode or 3 about all the problems with The Big Bang Theory and the things it does do well, but the things it doesn't do well. But one of the things that I constantly get frustrated at is the role of Stuart in The Big Bang Theory, because he is the beat stick.
Yeah.
And he has done nothing to be the beat stick. He's not horrible, but they're forced to hang out with him, like Cartman in South Park. They're all horrible to Cartman, but Cartman is a horrific human being, and they kind of have to hang out with him because they're in his class, or, it's that sort of thing. Or, I'm trying to think of another one where there's someone in your job who is horrible, and it's sort of okay that everyone's nasty to that person because that person's horrible. I don't know, The Office had one of those, the creepy dude who ended up being in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
He was kind of not a nice person, and everyone was mean to him, but you kind of didn't mind they were mean to him because you were like, he is pretty horrible. I wouldn't be mean to him, but I'm not going to defend him. Stuart, on the other hand, constantly everyone picks on him, and he's the butt of every joke without ever really giving a reason to do that. And Stuart is constantly suffering from either depression bordering suicidal depression.
It gets very scary sometimes, frankly.
It gets Whereas I think with Boyle, because Boyle doesn't mind, and in fact Boyle admits or even goes further than most of the criticism he receives. He's just like, oh, Boyles, we all cry. We're all very pathetic human beings.
Yeah.
You kind of go, what? It's like, yeah, I mean, crying, that's healthy, but crying at everything we cry at? I've cried when I accidentally didn't tie my shoelace correctly, or something like that level of ridiculousness.
Yeah, he sort of gets appropriately ridiculous. I did say, was it, giving up is a Boyle tradition. That's why our family flag is a white flag. Like, it's allowed to get really ridiculous. And he also...
And especially because he does it to himself, you don't really mind. Because again, all of the biggest Boyle criticisms are usually from him.
Yeah, he can like dish it out weirdly to himself, but as well as he can take it. So, yeah,
but I think also the difference is you also feel like they genuinely do like Boyle as well.
Despite everything.
And they're there for him when they need him to. Whereas in The Big Bang, you never quite get the feeling that they like Stuart. You get the feeling that they're mates with Stuart because he owns the comic shop that they like to go to, and it would be awkward not to be friends, is in inverted commas, with him. And that whenever they have to do something nice for him, they sort of roll their eyes and exchange glances. Like, oh, can you believe we're going to have to waste our Saturday getting this guy to the suicide prevention clinic? Oh, and I wanted to play D&D. You know, it's that level of, really, you people are horrible. Anyway, what I'm saying is, it's fine. It's fine to have Boyle do that, largely because none of it seems malicious towards Boyle. He does it to himself. And, you know, he's nice. He's a decent person as well. And, you know... But he admits when he's doing creepy things, and he's fine to do them and doesn't mind that people say that it's creepy.
Exactly. That's the thing, because sometimes he does generally... He's just as willing to be, like... Just as possible to be, like, the person you actually feel bad for in a conflict as one of the good ones. You know, when it's the inevitable sitcom conflict of one person's being a jerk and the other person isn't, and generally someone else has to say, hey, you're being a jerk, and the other person has to go, I'm sorry, I was a jerk. And yeah, it's very true, because like sometimes, of course, like Boyle can just be like really awkward all the time.
Or too needy is usually his one of,
like, do you remember,
I'm getting too involved.
To show how much this has changed, do you remember when he and the character of Gina Linetti, were dating?
Yes, I was thinking about that earlier, and it was a case of they weren't quite dating.
Yeah.
They were having a casual sexual relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Dating usually involves
going out, and that's the problem.
Like
she wasn't actually going out with him. You're right.
Yeah.
But still, they were like had some kind of relationship, and it really threw me off. And then, of course, two of their parents got together.
I think that was my favourite sort of plot line with that, though, was just that, you know, it's like, think of your ex-partner, and what if your parents got together so that your ex was now also your sister?
It's like,
that's just
creepy.
It's like, do you know I've slept with my sister? That's just a horrific thing to have said right then, and everyone looks at you. But what was quite funny was about...
but Boyle is fine with saying kind of disgusting...
Boyle was fine with saying that. Yeah. But that was the thing. You'd go and it would just be like, so this is my best friend Jake, and this is my sister and ex-lover, Gina. And everyone just look at him, and he's like, yeah, not in that order.
Yeah, not in that order.
Which is the key point here. Not in that order.
So yeah, we can move then from Boyle to Gina, who starts off as just sort of like a kind of hilarious, like, punchline machine, who sort of exists to sort of be on the side and sort of also sometimes just have things explained to her, because she's a civilian administrator. And
doesn't know the plots. Because, it is always annoying when people stop and turn to camera and go, hey, you know that thing that I know and that you know and that would really be normal for us to just take as read? I'm just going to explain it to you now. That is bad exposition.
Yeah. So Gina was also good for that, and she also had like a really good like personality in that she was like very online and like really big onto like referencing and everything. And yet, sorry, go on. Yeah.
No, carry on. No, I just want you to finish.
No, I've kind of finished. I kind of trailed off there. Sorry.
I was just going to say that the thing is, I may be wrong here, and I don't want to say it in a way that is in any way a indication of Chelsea Peretti as a person. Yeah. I can't stand Gina. I can't stand the character. Well, yeah. I hated every plot involving her. No, not even like you're like, oh yeah, no, obviously you're not meant to.
No. I'm saying I can understand that from you. I really like her, but yeah, I can understand you not liking Gina. Yeah. But it's kind of,
and that's the thing. Yeah. I don't like Gina. I don't like the plot. It's that thing of I don't tend to like. I know it's that thing of, oh, you're meant to laugh because it's funny that she's doing this. No, I just don't like her. I don't like her personality. I don't like her actions. I don't like her dialogue. I don't like her plot lines. I don't like her getting involved in every other person's plot lines. When she left the show, I was incredibly pleased, and I think the quality of the show has increased significantly for me because she's never in it anymore. And I think it's really unfortunate that I heard that she's actually back in this week's episode, and I just kind of hope it's not going to be a long-term thing that she comes back, because I'm drastically enjoying the show a lot more when she's not in it.
It's not a long-term thing that she comes back. She just comes back for a side thing, but it is like a nice character bit. But it's because she and Jake are friends, and the nice little behind-the-curtain thing is that Chelsea Peretti and Andy Samberg are both friends. And that's...
Well, she's married to
Jordan Peele. Yeah.
Which, if you want to reference the previous episode that we did.
Yeah, it's way cool. Although not the previous episode that the people are watching, because I think didn't we do what's the word? The Jordan Peele episode. What was the Jordan Peele episode about? Oh yeah, Keanu. Didn't we do Keanu, and then we just had a load of Sword Art episodes come out?
No, I thought we had the Sword Art first. I don't even know anymore. We live in this weird... do you remember when we were doing episodes and when we were releasing them like a year later and just going, wow, that's so not relevant? Or, do you remember when I mentioned the date in this episode?
Yeah.
That's going to sound really weird now. Now, whenever we mention dates or events that are going on, we should probably say, it is currently May. Welcome to May, my friend.
Yeah. The last episode was Keanu. Oh, okay.
Anyway, I'm glad she's gone.
Oh,
I know. And do you know the worst thing was though, when she left, I was like, I'm such mixed feelings because I'm really glad she's going, but this entire episode, 4 Movements, I think it was called, it was all Gina all the time.
Well, because Gina,
I know.
Because Gina, I get the feeling that the one. I like most of what they did with Gina's character, because I do like someone who just runs on a different level of logic to everyone else in the show. And so, I think a lot of the time, I liked her hanging out with Holt, because it's one of the greatest double pet acts ever, because they don't get on each other's nerves, but they're so different. And
you don't even know how they vaguely could function together either.
Yeah. So I think that's really nice. But then there are occasional bits where, and it never got to the extent that I was like, oh, I don't like this crossed arms sort of thing. But Gina became where the real character gains kind of like a superpower, like the character that keeps it real. Think about, to go back sadly to the really horrible show of The Big Bang Theory. Think about how Penny basically had a superpower for solving problems in The Big Bang Theory, because basically the 4 disgusting main characters spend ages trying to solve their problem and doing it bad because they're weird, and then they get Penny in, who might not be clued up on all that science, but she keeps it real, and so she solves the problem. And I'm thinking mainly of the episode with the IT people. And
Street Smart.
Yeah, she comes in. But what kind of is she actually does it because she's more online than others, and so she turns up and is able to immediately reveal that the guy who runs the cybercrimes division is not in any way as cool as he thinks, and she's like, that was just with half an hour of just checking stuff up on online. Imagine what I could do with a whole focused afternoon. So Gina, She doesn't actually keep it real, because if you look at it, most of her stuff is referencing weird, hyper niche online stuff and sort of general, not just online. It's kind of bad because it doesn't really, the lines are kind of blurred these days. But kind of socially media-y type stuff that no one else cares about, and she kind of weaponizes it in a few episodes really powerfully to sort of know about stuff. And I kind of like that. But yeah, she's kind of characterized as the person who's keeping it real, when actually, if you look at her, she's like the weirdest out of everyone.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that she gets given the superpower of solving problems occasionally.
Sorry, I'm just sort of... No, sorry. I'm completely lost what I was going to say. Let's cut that bit.
Yeah. Well, actually, how about should we cut that bit? I'll go into an outro, and then we'll go into an intro, because then we can move on to the other characters. Because we've hit like half an hour.
We haven't hit half an hour because we had all that pausing and stopping.
Okay,
before,
right. Well, then let's get back to it. I'll do a clap then.
20. Yeah.
Just me. 1, 2.
So do you want to tackle Diaz or Terry next?
Diaz or Terry, or really Holt, because we haven't even touched on.
No, we're leaving Holt.
Because you like Holt the most. Well, okay. So Terry Crews is it's kind of interesting because Terry Crews, who plays Terry Jeffords, plays a lot on the abilities of the actor Terry Crews, which is always kind of interesting because Terry Crews, he actually has been an actor for a long time, but of course was also famously an NFL player right at the beginning.
Yeah, but I thought that he was an NFL player who then was in this, and I've been watching loads of stuff, and he's in loads of things.
Yeah, he's been an actor for ages, yeah. But this is...
He was an actor. You know, in the Adam Sandler film Click,
yes,
he's in that.
Yeah. He's in all...
Like, that's... Yeah, he's in loads of stuff where he's often big, muscular man in the background, or had a few lines, and it's largely about how big and muscular he is.
He was in Get Smart, the Get Smart movie remake.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you see, this is the thing. Yeah, he absolutely is an actor who is an actor. And not just an ex-NFL player.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what was a shame? He used to present Beastmaster.
Oh, yeah.
Series 1. He was really good presenting Beastmaster in Series 1. And then in Series 2 and 3, the American presenters were different and kind of horrible people. One of whom just keeps trying to, keeps trying to make a pass at every female other presenter that's there.
Really?
And the other one's kind of horrible.
Ugh.
And yeah, I also feel like Terry, when he was going USA, I was going, fine, yeah, sure, you're patriotic. Now, they do it in a much more aggressive way than he did. You know, because there's a difference between, I'm proud of my country, and then there's, my country's better than yours, burn yours to the ground, mine is the best. That's the sort of different vibes I got, which is why I like Terry Crews in most things. I think he's a good... I'm not sure he's got range, but then I don't think he's ever been asked to have range. You know, I'm not sure whether that's just that he's typecast or whether that he's not capable of doing more, but he always seems to just play a variation of himself in all of these shows.
Absolutely. Well, I guess in this one, because I do think this one capitalizes on Terry's physicality and his delivery and his ability to sort of but if you ever see Terry Crews in actual stuff when he's doing panels or something, he's pretty subdued. He's not as over the top as Terry in Brooklyn Nine-Nine is. But yeah, as we said, he's kind of cool because he's a lot of his stuff is to do with his home life. And I remember do you remember how he's got an even bigger cousin who calls him Little Terry?
Yeah. I do like that. That was a nice little joke.
Yeah. And, I mean, yeah, he's sort of definitely interesting. He had one of those very special episodes that was kind of interesting where he was stopped while going around his own neighborhood. By a very aggressive other police officer. And I thought that episode was handled pretty well, considering in the end, this Brooklyn Nine-Nine kind of needs to always fall on the side of, hey, some cops are good. And it's kind of a lot of people would just avoid talking about that in general. And a lot of police advocacy groups endlessly try to just steer away that some cops could just be taking advantage of their authority. And this one didn't, which I appreciated.
It's good for that. It doesn't shy away from the issues from what I can tell. And it doesn't do it in a way that makes it feel I don't know. I think I kind of get a bit frustrated when when you're going to put an issue into a show and you want to make a point about the issue. I've always felt the way to do it is to make a good show which has the issue in it and demonstrates a good way of dealing with it.
Yeah, but everyone wants that.
But what a lot of the time ends up happening is you get an issue and you get the dealing with the issue and the point, and the narrative kind of has to bend over itself and twist into knots just to try and get the thing across that you wanted. And I think that's the problem I have with things like, I think Supergirl annoys me a bit like that, because it's well-meaning, but instead of writing a good story with the issues involved relevant, it writes the issues involved and then tries to fit the story around it, which doesn't work as well. But it's done. Brooklyn Nine-Nine's done that about quite a few issues. I know a lot of people were positive. I mean, the thing is, the very first episode is all about how, Jake doesn't understand why he has to wear a tie, and it comes back to, as a gay black man, Holt's always been excluded, and therefore he wants everyone to feel like a team, and a team, wears a uniform and wants to feel inclusive. And so it's from the very first episode wanting to be a nice progressive show with tackling issues. And I think all the times I've seen it do it, it's done it really well. I don't have any criticisms of it, but then I know people who might have the issues more relevant to them might be the ones that have more of a point to say on that than me.
Yeah, same. I didn't want to get it. I just thought I'd bring it up because, I don't think either of us have thing to comment on one, US police situation, and also their whole race situation. But I think it's important to bring up because it was a whole episode and it was quite good. But if you want to pick another one, that was not one of his earlier situations was that he was out of field. He was permanently admin
on desk duty.
Because he was scared of getting killed on the job, and he hadn't passed his retaking his gun thing, and he'd deliberately been putting it off because he's just worried about dying and leaving his kids alone.
And I really thought that was a great way of quickly. It's a serious thing, but it's got to be a thing you think about. Especially if because it's not like if nobody in my office regularly would be killed due to the work we do. It's just not going to happen. I've had people in my office who have died, and that's been a huge deal. But if you have to have that as being a byproduct of your job, when mining was quite dangerous and people were down the mines, and it was a case of you'd lose a person about every month or so, you just sort of get that in your head that was a thing that happened at your workplace. And you might find that as soon as you've got kids or something happens to you, you're no longer willing to accept that risk anymore.
Some of the interesting, random hidden depths they give Terry are kind of interesting because they're also Terry Crews's things. Because I know Terry Crews is an artist and he likes painting, so they give him his main character an interest in painting.
And I think is a ridiculously good artist on the show. I don't know how good he is in real life.
But... I don't know about that, but I do know he is interested in art, and I know he also speaks a bit of Japanese, and so they have him speak Japanese in the thing. In fact, Terry, fictional Terry, obviously, it's hard when they've both got the same name, but fictional Terry spent time in Japan as a student, and they keep on occasionally flashing back to that.
I think as well, the name thing. I've noticed you generally cast someone with the name of the first name being the same if if they're the less experienced actor, because they can respond more naturally to their own name than someone else's, but also B, if your actor is generally better known for not being an actor, then you often will give them the same name.
But we said that doesn't really make sense for Terry Crews because he's been an actor for 10 years.
But I still think most people in America still know him as the NFL guy.
I guess so. Point. And the louder, angrier, what's the word? Look up. The things are now diamonds. What's that thing? Imperial leather?
Oh,
Old Spice.
Old
Yes,
Spice.
he was one of the Old Spice gentlemen. He was the louder, shoutier Old Spice gentleman. There was the suave Old Spice gentleman, and then there was Terry, who was just like, ah!
I have only seen the suave one because
I don't think it was as famous. But speaking of cool stuff with Terry, since we've now mentioned both Terry and Jake, what do you think of the episodes which involve DC Parlov? DC Parlov, the writer, because they've got 2 episodes, I think now, haven't they?
Is that the one that's George R.R. Martin, but not?
I think he's a lot nicer than George R.R. Martin is.
Possibly.
But yeah, I do think the guy tries to look like George, because he's got the hat and the beard. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, no, I just mean he's clearly a parody of that's, if not George R.R. Martin specifically,
that sort of genre.
That sort of person. Yes, the genre writer who's written all the books. Yeah.
No, I just thought
I enjoyed the episodes.
I just thought you get something because it's they especially the one about the convention where you see a lot of different ones, and it's just you read a lot of those books. So I just wondered, but
I do read a lot of those books, but I don't tend to go to the conventions or see the authors. So,
but yeah, what was the other one I remember in that, because that has Diaz as like the third wheel in that one, and she. And they say, you're already wearing a costume for when they're trying to go undercover. Just put her welding goggles and you look like the main character of this book. And she's like, I've got welding goggles in my car.
Which moves us on to Diaz,
yes.
then.
So, of course, Rosa Diaz, who is way cool. And that's kind of the main thing. The main thing is that she's incredibly private. And whenever anything gets revealed, it's always really cool. It's her kind of running gag.
Yeah, like she was ridiculously good at ballet or something as she was a kid and things like that.
She has loads of things. She has an ex-ballet teacher. Yeah, that was the thing. She's like the really self-contained character who has this huge, interesting backstory, and every time you get one, it's like, how cool. And of course, she gets to have the awesome, belligerent, long-term thing with Adrian Pimento, played by, and this is the bit where I'm terrible because I can't remember the guy's name, because it's Mandoses, isn't it? Recurring characters. Yeah, Jason Matsokas, because it's not Mandoses, it's Jason Mantzoukas as Adrian Pimento, who
we've already discussed at length, because he's also Derek from The Good Place.
And he's kind of like, again, another Jason Matsokas character that he likes, where he's like, but I kind of like, he's kind of meshes well with Diaz, doesn't he? Because Diaz kind of like has the cool version, whereas whenever Jason Matsokas talks about his life, something horrible is happening to him.
Yeah.
He's getting beaten up or something.
Well, that time I had to cut off my own finger. Saturdays.
But yeah, there's so she gets like the straight up, like, what's the word? What's the word? Deadpan delivery stuff most of the time.
Yeah. I also feel like, do you know what's a bit strange is, for the character that you're meant to know the least amount about,
we end up knowing a lot about now. Yeah, because it's been good.
No, not just that, but I was also going to say that her relationships, like who she's dating, is the major focus of almost all of her plot lines.
Yeah, that's true. Like because it's another person.
Everybody else, like Jake, it's all about his parents, and you get a lot about Amy's family, or you get a lot about their careers, or their past, or their hobbies, or their
Jake and Amy have dated people quite noticeably, I'd say.
Somewhat.
I think Rosa gets through a lot more because they're all off screen. So Rosa will.
They're not usually off screen. It's just usually that they
they'll meet maybe off screen, on screen, but everything else will happen off screen most of the time.
Yeah, I suppose. And then they just say, "Oh, how is so and so? Oh, we broke up."
Yeah, and it'll get dropped. Like, it's rarely a thing. Whereas, like, a good example is Jake when he dates a defense attorney, or Amy. Oh, did she ever get back together with the guy? The guy that she was like has like a really good rapport with because they're kind of similar. You remember? And then he comes back and he's the bomb guy. And then they actually meet before when he's out with someone else, and he just randomly like proposes to her right in the middle of the street and like breaks up with his existing girlfriend or wife, even, I think. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, they got like these big things, whereas she gets like these little things, and it's really only at the moment the only people who've lasted long has been Jason Mantzoukas playing Adrian Pimento, or now how can I forget? Because I listen to her podcast all the time. Cameron Esposito as Justin Price, because she's managed to appear in 2 episodes now. And I was like...
Oh, I didn't know that the actor was known for other things.
Yeah. When she turns up... She's a comedian. Yeah. She does a lot of really good stand-up comedy, Cameron Esposito. And because when she appeared in the second one and she was breaking up with Rosa, I was all like, well, I was just expected her to go. Because actually, that was the most recent episode for you, yeah. I was just expecting, well, that's it. Because all of her other partners she's been with, she's broken up with. And then they actually stayed together, and I was partly like, oh, that's different. And also like, yes, stay with Cameron Esposito.
The thing is, I also feel, though, like, sometimes, not always, but sometimes, the plots of sitcoms kind of have to follow a certain thing, because the main thing with sitcoms is you want to write a lot of jokes, and you want to write a lot of jokes about different situations, but you kind of need everyone to be in different places in order to do so. So it's why there's usually a situation... If you look at most sitcoms, everybody generally starts out as single or in a relationship that ends quickly. And then, inevitably, because you've usually got about 6 characters, 2 of them will get together or be together, and that's the way that writers can write a relationship where both the main characters can be seen from both sides. Because if you get them together with someone who's not in your main character list, they either have to join the main characters, or you're only going to get a one-sided side of that relationship. So if you want to do both, you have 2 of your own characters get together so that you can write both sides. You should also generally find that one of them is going to have a kid, because a lot of being a new parent stuff and being married needs to be a whole thing, and you don't tend to want to do that with your 2 characters who are your main characters, because that's generally doesn't let you break them up and have changes and everything. If you sort of write that in, it then becomes about them having a kid. So they usually have a kid with someone else, or at least not staying in that relationship there. You then also will generally find that somebody stays single forever, because you need somebody who's going to be dating. You know, and it if you look at almost all these sort of American comedies, that will happen. You will end up with the inevitably single person, usually one of each gender. You will end up with people who are getting together who are on the main cast list, and you will end up with someone who's having kids and getting married. And, you know, in this one...
At the moment, it is kind of Rosa, isn't it?
Rosa's the only one left who is single, because Holt's been married since the beginning, and his relationship of childless marriage in a very sort of mature relationship. Terry's got the relationship with the kids.
Jake and Amy are together now.
Jamie and Ake are the 2 getting together within the show, so it's all the whole thing. And then now they're the young together, just married couple. And then you've got the adopting a child and having marriage with Boyle. But
we don't see her very often, but he is married.
No. But this is the thing, Rosa, she doesn't have to stay single, but it doesn't surprise me that she just keeps churning through these people, because when she's getting together with someone and staying together with someone, you either need to break someone else up to get plot lines about new relationships, or you just end the show.
Or no, or you just don't do that, and it feels weird. But to some people, for some reason, like they lose. I don't know. Maybe someone in marketing says, we're going to lose the dating demographic. You got to have someone who's looking for the.
You've got to have someone who's dating and who's in. Because it is a case of quite a lot of these sitcoms, you can watch them, and just when one character will get together in a long-term relationship, that means somebody else has to break up, because we still need the dating jokes. But no, I really like Rosa, but there's not as much known, so it's harder to talk about, because she's in it a lot, but she's actually mostly the secondary character more than any other, I would say. Everybody else gets plotlines about them much more often than she did.
Well, I think because she's so good, like actually Gina, because there's very rarely something about Gina. It was only until she was like thinking about leaving that we started getting ones that focused on Gina. and her doing stuff, and like her making, in the way that what I mean is like her making mistakes and then learning from them, sort of thing. So it's kind of weird actually when you occasionally got a thing of Gina, and Gina had to basically be horrible, and she's like, "Oh man, that was not nice."
Yeah, it's true actually, because you're right. Yeah, there was characters for development, and then there were characters who were really together people who were going to sort you out. Or in the case of Hitchcock and Scully, characters who were not at all together, aren't going to develop at all, but are there to be a comparison of at least you're not as bad as them.
Which is what I like about this season, is because we finally had one that went back and sort of expanded on Hitchcock and Scully that was actually kind of interesting. Yeah, and you saw back in time where they were like basically Magnum PI.
Which then brings us to saving the best till last.
Captain Raymond Holt.
He is the best character, though. He's the absolute best character. Yeah. So we've already sort of mentioned him quite a lot, but Raymond
played by
Holt
Andre
is the
Berger.
captain. Yes, who is also excellent in everything that
we've seen him in.
We've had him in. Also, if you want to reference a previous LHC episode, really far back, he was the Apocalypse when we did the DC films?
Yes, he was. He was. No, he wasn't. You mean Darkseid?
Darkseid, was he? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And of course, Holt is married to Kevin Costner, who is played by Mark Evan Jackson, who is in The Good Place, and actually also Kong Skull Island. Was the other thing that I really noticed.
Sorry.
And he's a classics. He's the chair of the Columbia University's classics department.
Yes, and their relationship is fantastic.
Yeah, it's brilliant, because it's like the ultimate sort of two very organised people living together sort of thing.
But it's also this thing of two people who are very much in love, but in their own way, that doesn't... And I think it's so great, because their relationship really works, and they're so in sync, and they... Like, whenever you find out something, like in a more recent one, Holtz was saying, I'm just the
Jake of Kevin's friends.
I'm the Jake of Kevin's world, and I'm basically the idiot eye candy, and everybody there just thinks of me as his bimbo. And when I say things, they get criticised and they mock me and they don't invite me to their parties because I'm not as intelligent as them and things like that. And I just love the fact that whenever things like that get revealed, like, you don't have to say it to either of them. They both know, they both see the same worldview. So where everyone else goes, wait, what? They are completely in sync, and I really think their relationship is the best sort of demonstration of a real working relationship, because they're not the same person, but they completely understand each other. They're very much in love, and it's clear they've been together for long enough that they're just so in sync.
Oh, yeah. Well, because they clearly have been.
They don't need anything.
And, I did like the one about their wedding, because they saw the wedding one, and he says, we didn't know when gay marriage would be repealed. And this was something that I actually remember happening when I was 17, because there was this whole thing of gay marriage just being legal randomly in, like, the New York area all of a sudden, and a load of people rushing to get it done because they knew people would try and grab it away. And and so I've known people who've had weddings like that, like the wedding that Holt and Kevin had, where they get together and they go, "Do you? Yes. Do you? Yes. We're married. Great."
And nobody can take that from us.
Well, yeah, that's what's the thing. They assumed that once the thing had gone through, even though no new people would be married, they'd still have to honour the...
Admit that, well, they should have if they had done
because
that.
mainly because the effort of annulling all of the marriages would cause an effort and might hopefully kick along to what we hopefully have now at the moment, where there's at least a Supreme Court decision in the US.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of nice and weirdly sort of like personally nostalgic in the way that they got married, in the way that they actually got married.
Yeah, but I love their relationship. It just really works, and I do think it's nice whenever Kevin's in it, because I also think he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I think the character's fantastic, and it's really good. Especially, do you remember the one where he gets locked? Jake has to be in solitary with Kevin because there's been death threats against him.
Oh yeah. They're basically a mobster's going to come and kill him, so they put him in
and
hideaway, safe house.
Exactly, and I like the fact that they show that both of them have flaws in the relationship, but they accept each other's flaws and they deal with it. Like, Kevin is fully aware that Raymond gets very overprotective, and that if you asked him to help investigate anything in one of the more recent episodes, if you ask him for any help, he's going to go full throttle when he doesn't want that. You know, it just, their relationship is just fantastic. It's so well written that it's really nice and believable, because there's too many times where I watch, so it's that you know, the rule show don't tell.
Yeah.
Is the thing of when you're told these two are perfect for each other. Should we say Ross and Rachel, for example? Yeah. We're told these two are perfect for each other, and you just say, but they don't have anything in common. They don't even get on particularly well. They don't interact in a way that suggests they have anything there. You know, you're told people are perfect for one another, but you're not seeing it. And like, there's several times I've got to the end of, you know, a film with, I don't know, opposites attract comedy or something like that, where they get together and you just look at it and you just go, that relationship, maybe 6 months, 2 years at the best, it's just not going to work. I don't know, Jurassic World would be a good one, you know, where they're doing the whole super workaholic, super organized, falls for, hey, I live out with my raptors and I'm a raptor trainer and I'm Chris Pratt and I'm a raptor guy.
Yeah, that was
like
so
that.
Bullshit.
And it's just like, yeah, it was that thing of, oh, you know, you're attracted to one another, but that's not a relationship that's going to work long term. And pretending it does for a happy ending is just a bit off. But other than his relationship, he's also a fantastic boss.
Oh yeah,
and he you know, the way he teaches them lessons without really having to. He doesn't explain what he's doing, but he makes everything better.
Generally, he does. There are some times where you're like everyone else, he makes mistakes or he gets too obsessed with things.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
Like remember a good silly example is the Monty Hall problem, when everyone agrees with Kevin because of that's the actual result of the Monty Hall problem, and he just goes, "You're fired." And and of course he's has a gambling addiction that resurfaces a few times.
Oh god, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah, that was cool. So he's like, there's a bit. Certainly, there's a recent episode in like the last season where he got re-addicted to gambling, but he mentioned it before as well, which is nice because he said, "I couldn't get off the ponies." And again, like I guess he shares a similar thing with Diaz, where he's like the super deadpan delivery. So he's like, it's like $5,000 on Yabba, Dabba, Do stuff like. Oh, what was the what was the other grow? So yeah, a lot of the jokes do lie on him either delivering something really deadpan or him breaking the deadpan routine. Like when he does get a bit weird, like I guess when Cheddar gets swapped out for another dog. This is just some common cubba bun. And you're not Cheddar, you're just some common bitch. Go, isn't that Cheddar right there? And he goes, this thing.
Yeah. No, one of my favourite episodes was actually when he had to flirt with the honey trap that had been set for him in the Barrel Museum.
Yes!
And it's like, it's just like, you're going to have to distract him. We're going to need about 6 hours. He just stood in front of the same barrel talking about all the features of the barrel for like 6 hours.
And it totally worked.
No, it really did. It was fantastic.
What was the... Oh, God. Now I remember the other thing. Is, of course, that way back when, Holt used to be exactly like Jake, in that he was a sort of like a out-of-control 70s cop. And that he actually caught a lot of, like, weird, silly murderers and things, like the Disco Strangler.
Oh, yeah, the Disco Strangler was fantastic.
Disco Strangler, and I think there was another one which was the swimming dude, who he only appeared once.
That's why I would really love Holt to be just in other shows. Shows with a less, grounded premise. And I know it's not a particularly grounded premise, but yeah, I just think he'd be fantastic because he just takes all of this. He wouldn't be shocked or surprised. He'd just be like, this is like in my youth when I arrested those people.
Holt turns up in Legends of Tomorrow.
That would be great. Because Legends of Tomorrow is decidedly mediocre, but I think it would become one of my favourite shows ever if Holt was one of the legends. Can you imagine Holt dealing with a unicorn?
Oh yeah, unicorn killing people in Woodstock.
This is a job for Raymond Holt. Uh,
So yeah,
But no, it's a fantastic show. And
Raymond Holt is the best character.
He is. It's not even a discussion. It's just a statement of reality.
Oh, okay. So yes. So fictionally worn. Okay, so you know how all of the characters occasionally you see them in dress uniform. I think to cap it off,
Yes.
do you want me to go through the fictionally worn awards and decorations?
Oh, I've got them right here, but yeah.
Okay, so we start off with Jake Peralta, who has the American flag breast bar, the NYPD accommodation for integrity, NYPD excellent police duty, the NYPD award of merit, the Wilmsport PA Bureau of Police's gallantry star, NYPD 150th commemorative breast bar, because he was during the NYPD. Oh, so sometimes you just get these. I do remember a friend of mine who joined the Navy, and he just got a medal just because he joined during wartime. And the NYPD firearms proficiency bar.
You know, if we're gonna just briefly go to another one, there's a whole episode of Cabin Pressure where they're picking up royalty, and so the captain, who is very much, wants to be seen as being important, decides that he should wear his medals, and one of them is the Millennium Star, and it's a case of, so are you telling me that's a medal for being alive in the year 2000?
Yep.
Yes, I just love the idea that one of his medals is for being alive in that year.
Now, this slightly irritates me because we go from Jake in the Wikipedia thing to Rosa, who only has 3, and it's just the American flag breast bar, NYPD excellence office duty, and firearms proficiency bar. Why doesn't she have award of merit?
Well, have they all got the American?
I think everyone. Okay, so yeah, everyone
American
has the American flag breast bar. It seems because they're in the US, I guess. So I guess we're skipping that. But Terry actually has some interesting different ones. But I feel bad. It's because he's obviously older. So he has the World Trade Center breast bar because he was serving.
Which I'm assuming you got that when you were serving
during 9/11.
when the World Trade Center was
exactly.
Here, yeah.
The NYPD accommodation for integrity, NYPD unit citation. So I think that's because he's a sergeant, head of a unit, and NYPD firearms proficiency. Amy Santiago. So she's got breast flag and excellent police duty, and she's got 2 more, and these are kind of interesting. So she has the citation bar for delivering a baby, Terry's baby, I think, wasn't it?
Someone's baby.
And an unidentified award. They have the picture, but we don't know what it is. It's like it's an orange rectangle and a white rectangle, both separated and framed by small blue rectangles.
I found that she can't. She's not firearm proficient.
No, she doesn't have a firearm proficiency. Only.
But then nor does Charles.
Yeah, and neither does Charles, which is interesting because we've both seen them handle it, but I guess you have to do a very particular thing. Charles, has Medal for Valor, which no one else has, I think, because he took a bullet, and then he has 2 unidentified awards as well as being around on the 105th commemorative. And then Gina has none.
Yeah, the Medal for Valor is outstanding personal bravery, intelligently performed in the line of duty for immediate personal hazard under circumstances disregarding your own safety for the sake of others. So
makes sense.
It's the 3rd highest honour in the NYPD, apparently.
Wow. That makes sense, though, because, taking a bullet for someone. Raymond Holt, of course, has the World Trade Center because he's old. NYPD Medal for Valor. It does make me feel bad that, they were probably late teens when 2001, September the 11th happened. So that's why only Holt and Terry have the World Trade Center bar. So he has Medal for Valor as well, for Raymond Holt. And he also has Meticulous Police Duty, which, makes sense, as well as the Excellent Police Duty. And he has Firearms Proficiency. Speaking of Firearms Proficiency, Raymond Holt has one interesting holdover from his Renegade days. He still has his firearm from the 70s, which he should have replaced.
Really?
He still has his old revolver, and he hasn't replaced it with a modern firearm that everyone else has. So if you notice, he still has a revolver, whenever he's armed, and he's armed like generally when he's in uniform.
That's kind of cool, but I assume he has to provide his own bullets because they won't be standard in the army.
No, I don't think so. It could quite easily just be still a 45 one. Although I think most of the time these people use 9mm. But yeah, I don't see any reason why the MY why he wouldn't have the money. Yeah, he could easily buy his own ammunition, and two, maybe he has 35. Maybe it's 35. I don't know those particular kinds of guns that well, so you're right.
Do you know what's interesting? Yeah? Hitchcock and
yeah,
Scully.
No, I was about to bring this up. Scully has better decorations.
Well, Scully has the World Trade Center, and Hitchcock does not.
Yeah.
So, considering we've both... That's either a continuity error, because we've seen them all in the 70s, which I think was pre-9/11. But, yeah, he must have either left the force for that time and came back, or, didn't get it for a different reason.
Yeah, which is fine with me, because...
Maybe he was serving in a different department at the time, transferred to another place.
Yeah, that's the thing. I assume as much. But yeah, always on leave or something, maybe, that you don't get it. But yeah, and I'm fine with this because, of course, Hitchcock isn't nice compared to Scully, who is, while at the same time kind of creepy, he's not as bad as Hitchcock. So he still has the citation bar for delivering a baby. He has the excellence in police duty bar and also the World Trade Center bar, which makes sense because they're both quite veteran.
Yeah.
And so that leads to the conclusion of our discussion of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And anything else? Unless there's anything else you want to say, Hugh?
No. I think I only have one thing left to say. Nine-Nine!